Hello my dear fellow souls. At first I would like to wish you all a happy, healthy, peaceful and love-filled new year. And now welcome to the second Behind the Lines video of Kira's Resurrection, Chapter 2, A New Handwriting. At first I would like to go through all the scenes with a short summary, then we will take a look at the characters that are introduced new in this chapter, and then locations, and at last, finally, the kanji. So let's start with the first scene. In scene 1 we have Aizawa, who is now the deputy police director. He is contacting Watari, so the pseudonym Watari and L are still on use. He is contacting Watari to request the help of L for the investigation regarding the Kira sect. But it seems that L is unreachable, and Watari has also no way to contact him. At the same time, the police unit investigating the television station murders is holding a briefing. Mogi is holding the briefing, the new chief inspector, and well, they have no hot trails at the moment. Also, on both crime scenes, the alteration of the surveillance camera footage had been the same work, and so there must be the same hacker behind it. Probably the sect, but they have no proof for now. But they find another trail as they took a more deeper look into the witnesses that found the dead bodies, Riechiane and Handanhane. They once had shared the same dormitory at Toho University, so the focus of the investigation is now drawn to the Toho University. In the next scene we have Karasuke. Karasuke had researched all night about Kira and had found only mere information, because for the public nearly everything about Kira has been deleted, erased from the internet, and tried to do so that like Kira had never existed. But Karasuke found the official version of who had been Kira, or Kira 2, and this is the officials had declared the prosecutor Teru Mikami to be Kira 1, or the original Kira, and Kira 2 was Kyosuke Higuchi, some company member or leader, so in the leading position. So, but Light knows for true who really Kira has been, or Kira 2, but he doesn't tell Karasuke. He keeps this information for himself. Yes, and because Karasuke had found out that both Kiras had ended up dead, he's getting some doubts now, or a little struggle, if he could end up dead as well. It's not without any probability. Scene 3. In scene 3 we have the introduction of a new character, Quentin. Quentin enters somewhere at the L property, the office of Roger Ruby, who had now taken over the pseudonym of Watari. He asked if he heard right that the police requested L's help, and Ruby had to tell him that he does know where L had went. It's the first time that L had left the office, and that under tears. So, since the incident of O&P. O&P were two, apprentices of L, former apprentices, who had died because Quentin had drawn the wrong conclusions. And so Quentin thinks now, if L had gone to England, that he is going to the Wemmy's house to choose another protege for his succession. So he's a little bit angry and also sad, but he's under house arrest as well, ordered by the current L. So Quentin leaves the office very, very upset. Okay. Sorry about the little interruption, but the memory device was full. We'll continue at scene 4, where Light is charming Carrasco with words and tries to, well, uncloud his mind of doubts and also the struggle. He wants to capture him with the words of friendship and the bond they share now through the Death Note. He starts to explain some rules about the Death Note, so I use that scene to sum some rules up for the ones who doesn't know about Death Note and who are reading Kyo's Resurrection. And he urges Carrasco to disguise. That means to disappear in normality, in the ordinary. And when he demands for Carrasco for writing down the first name, he uses this as an escape to delay the first entry into the Death Note. In scene 5, Matsuda and Yamamoto are investigating at Toh University campus, and they are following Rie Chiane. They are undercover and they follow her to her dormitory, where she doesn't spend much time before she leaves it again. But the two investigators were nearly uncovered by a female student, Sakura, but they managed to keep the trail of Chiane, who is going not really straight, but finally arriving at the Daikokukai, and she's entering the yellow box. Because she knows about that, Yamamoto and Matsuda think that this information about the place where the original Kira had died had been kept under lock and key by the police. The sect must have a mole or spy inside the ranks of the police. So, scene 6, the last scene of the first half of chapter 2. This is the scene where Carrasco is doing class duty at the end of the lesson. He's alone because no one really wants to spend his time with him. And Takeshi reappears, even when all the other students are gone. He still demands for his money, which Carrasco did not have. And after a few punches, Takeshi went to the desk of Carrasco and discovers there the Death Note. Carrasco had a bleeding lip from the punch, and he touches this with his finger, gets soaked in blood, which is very important for the next action. But as he sees the Death Note in someone else's hands but his, he feels the urge, the need, this drawing to this Death Note, that he needs to possess it, that he needs to hold it, and that no one else should ever touch it. So he stands up against Takeshi, but he's outpowered by Takeshi. He's too much powerful, has too much strength, and this fight turns out into Carrasco leaning out of the window and Takeshi threatening to throw him on the asphalt. The Death Note, the open Death Note, is in reach, and Carrasco writes down Takeshi's name with his own blood on his finger. Takeshi gets a heart attack and slides past Carrasco out of the window. But in that very moment, Carrasco had some doubts and regrets. He tries to grab him, to stop him from falling, but he only reaches the necklace, which rips off around Takeshi's neck, and Takeshi finally falls down on the asphalt and dies in the schoolyard. Then Carrasco is rushing home. He's feeling ill, every fiber of his body hurts. And when he finally arrives at home, he straight enters the bathroom, and as he heard the sounds of an ambulance, the sirens, he has to vomit, because he imagined how Takeshi has been picked up by them and brought to the hospital. At this very moment, Light still already awaits him, because he had felt that a name had been had been written down to the death note. Yes, and instead of words of sympathy, words of, well, comfort, he just had words of blame. He blames him for having acted out of self-interest and having chosen a victim that's also connected to Carrasco, which could set the police right trail to them. And Carrasco said that it was wrong, that something's wrong, and this does definitely not please Light. He doesn't need any doubts, he doesn't need any regret, but Carrasco doesn't mean the death of Takeshi, but the way he feels about it. He doesn't feel bad about the death, and that is what he proclaims as wrong. And he said it was a just judgment, and he also had gained back something that belonged to him, the necklace of his father. Good. So the next scene, scene 8. In scene 8 we see Quentin again. Quentin is sitting in the sanctuary of L. It's a room that is whose walls are littered with nothing but monitors and screens, and a continuous feed is running there, archiving every death worldwide of heart attack. Quentin keeps on thinking why L had went to England. He suspects him to went to the Wemmy's house, the orphanage where he had formerly chosen Quentin as his apprentice and before becoming his successor, and that Al has now went there again to well, make another choice to replace Quentin, because Quentin had drawn the wrong conclusions, and this conclusion has led to the death of O and P. But he thinks that he would have drawn the right conclusions if he had all information, but some informations were held under lock and key by L that time. So he doesn't blame himself only for the death of these two people. While the feed is running, one name catches his eye, and it's the name of Takeshi Abe, because it's a heart attack of a human at a very, very low age. C9. We are back in Carrasco's room when suddenly his mother enters, and she straight walks through the Shinigami, walks through light. And she feels a sudden coldness, because coldness radiates from the Shinigami. She proves that she can't see him, and after, well, disgracing her son a little and making a little trouble, a little rampaging, she leaves again. After this short visit, Light asks Carrasco if he had ever thought of killing his own mother, of entering her name into the death note. And immediately Carrasco refuses that. He said his mother isn't evil, only because she doesn't really love him anymore. She doesn't deserve to die. He still hopes that she could love him one day again. And Light has to take a step back. He intended to cut off this last anchor chain, but he thinks the way Carrasco's mother behaves would do the same, just in a bit time. Then El also threatens Carrasco that if he would ever not listen to one of his advices, that he could take away the right of ownership of Carrasco and thereby erase all his memories about the Death Note. In scene 10 we're inside the yellow box and the sect is holding their meeting. It's held by the leader, the executioner, that's how he calls himself, and he introduced Ria Chihane to the sect. The, well, self-wandering around miracle. The blessed one, who's blessed by one of Kira's judgments. Because she was, or she is, the woman who was saved in Osaka. If you remember scene 4 of chapter 1 of Kira's Resurrection, Light looks through the hole in the Shinigami vault, and it's the second death he causes. Yes, and while they want to choose, or while they're going to choose the next victim, the sect meeting is interrupted by the uncovering of Yamamoto. When they are going to, well, sentence him, his colleagues interrupt and the police storms in and arrest as much sect members as possible. But Chihane and the executioner manage to escape. So the pre-last scene, we have Light also continuing to explain some rules of the Death Note to Karaska, and that they will change now the course of death that they choose for the victims, for the culprits. They will change from heart attack now to illness and accident. And that's why the title of this chapter is called New Handwriting. On the one hand, there is another signature of Kira. Former it was only heart attack, now we have illness and accident. And there is also a real new hand who's writing the names into the Death Note. It's Karaska's. And Karaska has also created a database of all the culprits. The ones in prison and the ones on the run. Yes. But Karaska still, is still struggling. Especially now after the first victim he had caused. And Light brings in another opportunity. The opportunity of, giving up the right of ownership. And giving up this burden if Karaska, can't handle it or can't live with it. But Karaska depends so much now on the Death Note that he doesn't want to give it up. To prove his loyalty to the Death Note and to Light, the Shinigami, he takes the Death Note and writes in the next name, flickering through the news of a culprit. And the final scene, scene 12, is where Quentin leaves the property of Elle. Against Elle's demand, he had set him under house arrest, but Quentin doesn't care. He had a new lead, and he's going to follow this new lead. He doesn't tell Watari where he's going or Elle because he doesn't want any interruption or any help. He wants to prove himself to himself, and of course he wants to prove himself to Elle as well. And this is why he's going. He also takes a notebook with him with handwritten notes. It's not a death note, but we will see later what there is written inside and why this is so important. So he leaves and he's going to Japan. So that's so far for the scenes, and now we will talk about the characters. Of course, at first we have Quentin, and then I will tell you a little bit about Aizawa. Quentin is 19 years old, he's the protege of Elle, and he's his apprentice, like Karaska is the apprentice of Light now. He's responsible for the death of O and P. Of course, O, P, we're following the alphabet. First we had L, then there was N for Nia, M for Mello, O, P, and Quentin, he will be Q. But we'll read it on the upcoming chapters. So, he criticizes L, because L has kept information for him and not had laid them open, so that Quentin could have drawn the right conclusions in that case. So he's also blaming, or he's mostly blaming L for the death of O and P and not himself. He's self-confident and he's very self-trusted. and he knows of his power of deduction. So he was also the only one who was able to expand the parameters and to recognize that culprits are dying now because of other causes of death, except for heart attack. He's keeping this information to himself to prevent, like I said before, any interruption and any help. He also recognized L not for L, because the current L isn't the real L. There was only the one and only L. And his aim is to, one day, well, to trump him as well. But at first he wants to force the current L to bow in front of him and to force his respect. He's not only angry because he's going to be replaced, or he thinks he's going to be replaced, but Quentin is also a little sad about this distrust. And so he sets off to Japan. Shuichi Aizawa, now let's come to Shuichi Aizawa. Shuichi Aizawa is a member of the former police unit that was investigating into the Kira case. Now he has become the deputy police director, and he is now operating in the higher ranks of the police department with the police director and the secretary of the interior. He still feels guilty about the way they treated the current L, because he's a loving father, he has a family, he knows what it means to be a child, and they had just used the deduction of the current L instead of just letting him be the child, letting him have the childhood that he, well, was used to be. They were used to have. So it's time for the locations. We don't have much new locations in Chapter 2. We have Carrasco's room, for example, and the classroom we have also seen in Chapter 1. But L's property is new. But we have no concrete location. We don't know where it is, except for it is not in England and it is not in Japan. Inside L's property, there's the room, L's sanctuary, where he had locked himself up since this O&P incident. This room with all the screens and the continuous running feed is a reference to our brain, because our brain is a nerve center that processes all information like this room does. So this continuously running feed is a reference to the firing neurons in our brain. Next is Toh University. I took as model for this location the University of Tokyo, especially the main entrance where Matsuda and Yamamoto are going through. Then we have at last the Daikokukai and the Yellow Box, the place where Light died, the place of the great showdown which has taken place there between Nia and Light, which Light had lost. And it's also the place where the first scene of the first chapter of Kira's resurrection started. So far for the locations, and now we'll go into the kanji. The thing that I love most, because every kanji has a meaning, and every kanji I choose for a name is also chosen because there's a certain meaning in it, and if you know the meaning, you can conclude which direction the character might develop, or which action might be coming up around him. So the kanjis are very important. So let's come to them. At first, there's the chapter title, Atarashi Tegaki, which is a word-by-word translation of the English title, A New Handwriting. Atarashi is an E adjective, which means new, and Tegaki means handwriting. It consists of the kanji te for hand and kakimasu for to write. The next one is Shuichi Aizawa. Ai means aspect, face, external. Zawa means swamp, moor. It's the same kanji like we had in Ozawa Sensei. Then we have Shu. Shu means round, extent, passage. And Ichi means market, marketplace, and city. The first character that I've designed the kanjis of the first character that I've designed are the kanji of Miyuki Kotobuki. Miyuki is a katakana transcription, and kotobuki means luck, longevity. Miyuki Kotobuki is a reference to Miyuki Ishikawa. She was a serial killer who murdered infants around 1950 at a maternity home called the Kotobuki Sanin incident in Japan. So she was a real serial killer. Rie Chihane. Rie means reason, logic, truth. I is the kanji that's used for names if you need an I. Chi means blood, blood-stained, and Hane means wing, feather, feathers. I have taken this character, or designed this character, like the character Rie Kishibe from the game Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth. She's there an antagonist that I adore very much. Then we have Han Danhane. Han means stamp, seal. Dan means decision, resolve, determined implementation. And Hane is the same kanji like in Chihane, which means wing, feather, feathers. The first name, Han, I've chosen after Han Solo, because I love Harrison Ford very much, and this is the role, the Han Solo role of Star Wars, that I really like. Then we have Quentin. Quentin is just the katakana transcription of the English name Quentin. That's the same for Roger Ruby, but Ruby is also just the katakana transcription of the English name. Then we have the female student Sakura. Sakura means a cherry blossom. And we have Kaho Kageyama, the next victim that has been chosen by the sect. Ka means result, fruit, enlightenment. Ho means information, report, vengeance. Kage means key, solution, and Yama, a mountain. The name Kageyama I've chosen after the so-called keymaster of Ghostbusters. And Kageyama is sort of the keymaster for the sect, but you will see in the upcoming chapters. Then we have the victim that Karasuke had chosen to prove his loyalty at the end of the chapter. Kaito Shimabokuru. Kai means sea, to means steal, theft. Shima is the kanji for island, and Bukuro means bag. I've taken the name Kaito of Kaito Kate of Case Closed, and Shimabokuru is the last name of Kimiya Shimabokuru, one of my favorite culprits of Case Closed. She's the culprit of the episode of the international accounting 241 to 243, and then there were no mermaids. Coming to mermaids, I love mermaids. Especially I love The Little Mermaid, the drawn story of Disney. I adore Ariel very much, and right now I'm parallel writing a mermaid story parallel to Kira's Resurrection. Maybe in some time you can also read this one. So that's so far for the second Behind the Lines video for chapter 2. I'd like to thank you for watching this video, for visiting kirasresurrection.com, for downloading the chapters, and for commenting, for sharing your opinion. I need your opinion. I long for your opinion, because I need feedback. I need your comments, and I hope that you keep commenting and that you keep commenting on a high frequency. I need feedback. Positive, negative, I can learn from all. And I need this encounter with you. This soul encounter about the soul splinter theory. If not, check it out in the download area on kirasresurrection.com. So, thank you very much for everything, and I hope you have a good time with your beloved ones, and, well, fill the world with love, spread it, positive energy, send it out in the universe and will echo back to you. And don't forget to place an apple on your windowsill at night for any passing by Shinigami to pick it and spare you from haunting. Bye!